World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Chet, the Phillies continue to win series after series, being the first team to reach 30 wins. The NFL schedule comes out tonight at 8 p.m., although there's been plenty of leaks. I think we have the whole schedule. Yep. Hopefully opening the season in Brazil is not the only surprise, but we'll talk about that. Hey, and how about the 50th anniversary of the Flyers' first Stanley Cup comes this weekend? Plenty to talk about, especially those red-hot Phils.
Yeah, regarding the Phils at 30-13, there's not a whole lot to complain about. They're on pace for 113 wins. I don't think they're going to win 113, but hey, you never know. We're enjoying this Philly season for sure.
We sure are. And hey, we have a great guest tonight making a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio, a broadcast legend in Philadelphia. Glen Macnow will be joining us.
What a resume Glenn has. Newspaper reporter, author, radio talk show host, part owner of some local breweries, the host of What's Brewing on television, one of my favorite shows, a stage actor, you name it, let's bring him on.
Let's do it. Let's welcome back the Prof, Glen Macnow, back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Glenn, welcome.
Glenn, we got you muted. Hang on. Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we got you. That's weird.
Okay, I'll just lose these things. Okay, nice to see you guys.
We got you. Hey, Glenn, we're going to talk a good bit about that big announcement you made a month or so back, but let's first talk about the Philly sports scene. And if it's okay, I'm going to turn the tables and take a page out of the Glen Macnow radio notebook and start our conversation with 5 questions. I love how you did that with, Ray Diddy for a while. Now you're doing it with Mike. So let's do that. As we speak, Glenn, number 1, the Phillies have the best record in baseball. We know they've played a lot of not very good teams over the first quarter of the season. So what do we know for sure about how good this Phillies team is, and what is the outlook?
Well, what we know for sure is that they have a terrific rotation. I think Ranger Suarez is pitching to a Cy Young level. I don't think he's going to have an ERA of 1.5 for the season, but I do think he really could remain the top pitcher in the game this year. And Wheeler as a number 2 is an amazing thing to have. And Nola as a number 3, certainly coming off that game yesterday, is terrific. Aaron Nola is going to have those games where he gives up 4 runs in the 5th inning and a couple of home runs and you go crazy with him. But you know what? He's always good for 32, 33 starts a year, and most of them are good. They're also better at 4, 5, and 6 in the starting rotation than anybody. That's what we know for sure. What did we know? Was the second part of it the outlook?
Yeah.
Well, the outlook depends a lot on health, and they've had some dings. Trey Turner's now out for a while. That looks like maybe he's going to come back sooner than we thought. But Harper is always a bit of a health risk. Real Muto is dinged up. What we know for sure is if they stay healthy, they will win 95-plus games, and the GM will swing a fun deal on trade deadline.
There you go. All right, I'm going with question 2, Glenn. I'm going to flip the table a little bit. We'll talk Sixers. Where do we start? The process is kind of crash-landed, I think. We have Joel Embiid that we don't know how dependable he can be. Put on your ownership hat. I did this to Chet last week. I made him the GM, and I'm not sure the GM is safe. So I'm going to go from the ownership hat. Where are we starting?
Well, I don't think he's going to get rid of the GM. I would not mind if he got rid of the GM. It would not bother me. But I also don't know that any GM can come in and fix this thing right now. You have 2 real assets, right? So you have Tyrese Maxey, who Okay, you have Joel Embiid. We'll start with that since the picture's up. I'll play along. You have Joel Embiid, who is one of the best 10 players in the game, one of the best 5 players in the game in the regular season, but not one of the 10 best players in the game in the postseason. After all these years, I don't think that's going to change, and that's a problem. You have Tyrese Maxey, who is a terrific young player. There he is, who I think is going to continue to get better and maybe become the face of the franchise in another year or two. After that, it's a lot of expendable parts. Kelly Oubre was pretty good at times. There are other guys that you want to keep among the 8 who are free agents or you can end their contracts. But I don't really see the direction that gets you there. I will just tell you, as a guy in the media, my biggest hope is that somehow, some way, LeBron James ends up coming here with his son. They may not win, but it would be a lot of fun to watch.
I don't want them, but I understand your point.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, Glenn. After the Eagles started 10-1 last season and then collapsed, they lost veterans Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox to retirement, Hassan Reddick in a trade. They changed coordinators. They did add Saquon Barkley and a bunch of other guys, a lot of veterans, some good draft picks. So what is your confidence level that the Birds will be legitimate Super Bowl contenders again?
Super Bowl contenders again. Low to Midland, a 4 on a 1 to 10, maybe push at 5. All of those moves you said, I like. I love the signing of Saquon Barkley for 2024. I don't know how that's going to play out in the 3rd year of his contract. You gave a lot of money to him, and you may be on borrowed time, but for this year, I think it can be very good. I liked the draft, but there have been times in the past where I've liked the draft and it doesn't work out. You don't know anything about those guys until they get to play, and it's tough for rookie corners at times. The biggest thing they did was they hired 2 adults as coordinators, 2 professional, experienced, smart coordinators. I do have faith in them. I don't know if I have faith in the head coach. And that could be the biggest concern. If they get off to a 1-3 start, something like that, not inconceivable that Jeff Lurie pulls the trigger, fires the coach.
Interesting. Well, I'll go to question number 4. Let's jump over to the Flyers. Seemed a lot of questions when they made the move to your buddy Keith Jones and Danny Briere. It seemed to work out real well. John Tortorella had them going a good direction until 3 weeks left in the season, and the bottom kind of fell out. How do you see that playing out? Is Tortorella the guy, or did he lose the locker room there at the end with some of his moves that the team kind of looked like I never like to say they quit. They collapsed.
Yeah. I don't think they quit, and I don't think he lost the locker room. I think the biggest problem was they traded maybe their best defenseman right before the trade deadline, and they could not fill that void, and they couldn't stop anybody down. And then they got dispirited. I think Tortorella did a very good job this year, and I was surprised because I didn't think coming in he was the guy to coach a young team. But I think he did really well. I mean, they were curious moves. The Couturier benching was kind of odd, and I don't really know what that was about. But I also think he would not have done that without approval from Briere and Keith Jones. I like their direction. As much as Keith and Danny are fairly inexperienced at this, I liked the moves they made. I love the drafting of the Russian kid. There is reason to hope he could come over sooner as opposed to later. There is the possibility he could come this next season, which would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I think about them, bottom line. They're not the Sixers of 2014? What year did the process start? God.
Yeah, 2014, I think.
Oh, my God, it's a decade ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're not the Sixers of 2014 in that they are going to deliberately lose games and be bad and not field the best team they can. But at the same time, I think they're going to balance that with an eye on long term. I think they've done a good job of keeping the young guys who will help them. It's a long way to go. That Stanley Cup that you referenced before, it's not, to me, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the first Stanley Cup is one thing. The problem is it's the 49th anniversary of the last Stanley Cup.
Right. Yeah.
And it's tough. It's going to be a while.
And you were there for that one, weren't you?
I was
in Buffalo.
The Odd in Buffalo, a teenage fan of the Buffalo Sabres when Bernie Perrant broke my heart, which he loves to remind me of every chance he gets.
And now he's your good buddy. Number 5, the final of our opening questions. In addition to the NFL schedule coming out today, we got the announcement that there will be more games being streamed. 2 Christmas Day games this year, 1 at least each of the next 2 Christmases on Netflix. Glenn, what do you make of this whole thing, and is it too much?
Oh, it's beyond too much. I would say it's a slippery slope, but we're already well down that slope. The NFL is the monolith in sports, is the most powerful thing. They decided to play on Christmas on a Wednesday and destroyed the NBA. They have the power to grab ratings whenever they can. Listen, I'm watching, so, whatever. But I think the slippery slope in 5 years is that there will be an NFL game every single day of the week, which will hurt college football also, clearly. And it will be on every streaming and pay service you can imagine. And we will find it and pay for it. And I hate it, but it's going to happen. And by the way, Phillies on Roku doesn't excite me either.
I know.
Right.
I hear you. Hey, Bill and I are going to talk more about that later, but let's switch gears now. You made your big announcement just about a month ago, mid-April, the announcement on your Saturday radio show with Mike Sealski that you'll be retiring as of mid-July. So what led to that decision, Glenn? Why now?
Well, I've reached the age where, I think I said this during the announcement, I've reached the age where time is a more important currency to me than money. I mean, I'm not a wealthy man, but I'm in a position where, pension, Social Security, et cetera, I should be able to live okay. And there are a lot of things I want to do before it's too late to do them. There are countries I want to go and visit and states that I've never seen in the United States. I want to, my dad is 93. I want to be able to spend time with him when I can. I have 3 little grandsons, 2 of whom live out of state. I want to see them as often as I can. I love the acting that you referenced earlier. I want to do some more writing, and I just want to, as much as I love watching the Eagles on a Sunday, and will continue to, I want to be able to wake up on a Sunday and say to myself, I don't have to eat, shower, get in my car, fight traffic, be there. And by the way, I love doing the pregame show. I don't want to imply that I haven't. But those are long, long days, and I just want to be able to watch the Eagles on TV and not have to think that I have to talk about this later. Just let it wash over me. I haven't been able to just watch games as a fan for so long. I'm looking forward to that. And drinking beer.
Well, Glenn, I was going to say, everybody pretty much knows Glen Macnow, the sports guy and the beer guy. That reputation has now come with your business and all. We'll get to that, but it seems a little, probably people know that you've written over a dozen children's books.
Yeah.
What's that? What were they about in general, and what made you want to do that?
So I've written 6 books, I believe, for adults on Philadelphia sports and on movies. And when my kids were young, I wanted to write something that they might read when they were, 7, 8, 9 years old. A company that I had done some stuff for reached out to me and said they're doing a series of books on sports heroes. Like when I was a kid, I read those books, right? Sports hero Gale Sayers, sports hero, O.J. Simpson. That one probably needs a new chapter or two, but whatever. And so I wrote a bunch of books for them, one on Charles Barkley, one on Allen Iverson, one on Troy Aikman. Keep that one under your hat. And a bunch of those. And those were fun to do just because I did one interview with the subject, kind of got the life story, wrote about them. The fun about that was writing about what it was like to be Charles Barkley as a kid in Leeds, Alabama. when he got cut from I think it was the freshman basketball team, and practiced by jumping over the steps of his grandmother's porch so that he could become a better jumper, because that's the kind of thing that kids can really identify with. So I wrote a bunch of those. I haven't done those in a little while, but it was a lot of fun. And every once in a while, I still get a letter from a kid doing a class assignment where he checks it out from a library and has to write the author. And that's kind of cool. I enjoy when that happens.
That is cool. Hey, you've also done quite a bit of acting over the years. There's a couple of pictures from your recent work. I was kind of disappointed that you didn't wear this wig tonight, Glenn. That would have been cool.
That was, I was in, last December, I was in the play Young Frankenstein, based on the movie Young Frankenstein, if you've seen it. And I played the Gene Hackman Hermit in the Woods character. Where I had to grow my beard for 6 weeks, but that's not a bad look. I mean, if my wife didn't hate it, I would go back to that. And yes, wear that wig because when you get the camera back to me, well, you can see in the picture on the right, I am follically challenged, proudly follically challenged. But that was fun because I got to be on the stage by myself singing a song for 2.5 minutes. And I had never done that before in my life. I'd sung, but and I had a solo of maybe 20 seconds. But this was me alone on a stage singing, and I was really nervous about that, and it was hard, but that's the part that made it fun. And then if you've seen the movie, the scene with the hermit where I spilled boiling water on his crotch and set his finger on fire with a cigar and all that stuff, that was a very fun role.
Will you be doing more acting going forward?
Oh, I hope so. I'll be doing more auditioning. That I know. Hopefully it'll lead to more acting. I've checked a few plays, coming down the pike that I would definitely audition for.
Cool.
Hey, Glenn, we had Ray on just a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about a movie night that you guys have getting going here. Get back to doing that. How's that going to go?
So we got a couple things in the pipeline. On June the 5th, we're going to be at the Uptown Theater in Westchester. Ray and I wrote the book together, The Ultimate Book of Sports Movies. And in doing that, we show on these movie nights 8 or 9 short clips, 2-3 minute clips from our favorite sports movies. We talk about how they came to be, the casting, why the scene is important, anything from how the music is, climactic, whatever. And we talk to people in the audience, take questions, and those are a lot of fun. I'm delighted to say that one sold out. Well, actually, there are 6 tickets left in the theater. So if you want to go to uptownwestchester.theater.org and get it right ASAP. So that's coming up. And then in September, on September 18th, which happens to be Ray's birthday, Ray and I are going to appear at the Ardmore Music Theater. We've got a third partner for that one, Joe Conklin. And we're going to we're writing it now. We're going to, for the first time, do the greatest moments in Philadelphia sports history, where we will talk about them. And Joe will be Harry Kalas and Merrill Reese and Gene Hart and all of the great voices, so that we're going to bring it back to life.
Wow.
Tickets for that one aren't on sale yet. We're still writing it up, but that's going to put in your calendar September 18th at the Ardmore Music Theater.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Count me in for that for sure. Hey, well, as Bill mentioned, we did have Ray Diddy on just a couple of weeks ago, and it was our 10th anniversary, by the way.
Congratulations. I've enjoyed being on your show every time.
Yeah. And we asked Ray about working with you on the weekends for more than 2 decades and your retirement decision. He spoke for 3 minutes about you. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but here's just a little bit of what Ray Didinger had to say about you.
It just worked out. I mean, they put us together and it just kind of clicked. That kind of chemistry in radio or even in TV, you can't fake that. It's either there or it's not. And it was for us pretty much right from the start. And, we had 21 really great years together. But just a few months ago, we were talking about it. And he said, I think I'm going to retire now. So I knew it was coming. But, people have responded the way I would have expected them to respond. I'm going to miss you, because he was really, really good.
How about that?
That was really nice. That's my pal. So I'll pay it back to him, and this is what I'll say. And talk about you can't fake the chemistry. Doing the show with Ray for 21 years was never work. It was 2 guys, 2 friends sitting around over a table. I mean, I would sometimes say drinking a beer, but in Ray's case, drinking a Diet Coke or a coffee or whatever. And just, can I say bullshitting? It's a podcast, right? I can say
yes,
that.
you can.
There you go. Can't say that on WIP. I've never said
No.
that. Yeah. I'm very proud. In 31 years, I've never done that. At least when I knew the mic was on. But it was always just a couple friends sitting around having fun, and hopefully the audience felt like they were pulled into our fun conversation.
That's awesome. And you did a great job at it. Hey,
Thank you.
we don't want the time to get away without talking beer, right?
Sure.
You still have plenty going on with your Conshohocken Brewery. What all is happening now? I think the last time we talked to you, you were opening a new one. Am I right on that? My memory's serving me right?
We've got the 4 locations in Bridgeport, Conshohocken, King of Prussia, and Phoenixville. All of which are doing well. We've got our summer beers coming out. This is one that I'm drinking here. This is the watermelon, which is what it sounds to be. It's a wheat ale with watermelon. One of the new things we're doing a lot of events, and one of the new things we're doing is we will bring the event to you. So if you are doing a corporate party or a block party or whatever, we'll bring the tent, we'll bring the beer, we can cater the food, we'll do all those things and bring it right to you. So if you just get in touch with the brewery, all you need to do.
Fantastic.
And Glenn, you just concluded another season of What's Brewing.
Yeah.
Man, I want a gig like this where you go to different breweries in the area and you get to sample a bunch of beer and talk about it. What a gig, huh? Tough job.
It's here's the astounding part. And my old partner, Don Russell, just back, moved to France on me, retired, moved to France. So Lou Bryson, who's pictured there, kind of took over a lot of that role. It is astounding to me that we have gotten 9 seasons out of the formatic idea of 2 fat guys sitting around drinking beer. Next to Seinfeld, it's the least impressive idea for a show ever.
Hey, Glenn, Rick commented, favorite show, What's Brewing?
There you
I
go.
know Rick is a fan of that show, and I appreciate it. We really hope, in addition to 2 fat guys sitting around drinking beer, which is what it is, we really hope to kind of fill people in on fun beers, on fun places to go, on trends. Every once in a while, you can learn something from that.
You know, Glenn, Chet about 4 times a week goes to the local establishments and checks them all out. And he does it for no reason.
There you go.
I like beer.
Imagine. So I will just say this. I'm not Lou Gehrig, but I'm the second luckiest guy in the world, because for the majority of my career, I have gotten paid to go to sporting events, either write or talk about games, and drink beer. And somehow those have been my jobs. And I just know that, I'm really fortunate and really lucky to have had that opportunity.
You need a Life is Good shirt, don't you?
I do.
Well, Glenn, I said 20 minutes. Our time is up, but I just wanted to mention that I really loved the great sports debate back in the day.
Now.
We've talked about that in the past. I know you talked about it at length on your Saturday show. That was great. One last thing, anything special from your time at WIP that you remembered? I know a lot of news stories broke when you were on the air. Yeah. Any special memory from your time on WIP?
Well, some good, some bad. I mean, I was on the air with Anthony Gargano when 9/11 happened, and we were kind of doing that in real time. Fun things I've had the opportunity to broadcast the 2 parades. I quite frankly was hoping there would be more than 2 championship parades, but I got to hold the mic up and broadcast those parades, and that was pretty cool. I will tell you the other, and this will be a tease for this Saturday show. So Mike Sielski suggested to me that I do something every week between now and when I retire, kind of a retrospective. And you mentioned the Great Sports Debate one, which I did last week.
Yeah.
This coming Saturday, I'll be talking about my favorite show that I ever did, which I was working evenings, and it's the night before they blew up the vet. And what happened, I mean, I'll give you a little bit more than I want to, but it ended up that after the show, because of what we discussed on the show, I went down to the vet, met about 300 listeners there, all impromptu, all kind of that came up during the show, and we did a Irish wake for the vet the night before it went down. More details on that this Saturday.
I'll be listening.
Well, Glenn, as Chet said, we're out of time. We certainly appreciate you taking time to join us. Happy, busy retirement. I know you're going to have a lot to do. And as a fan of yours, certainly enjoyed all the years of great sports talk. And I know Chet does as well.
Here's to you guys.
Glenn, I'll see you at the brewery. Take care.
All right, be well, fellas. Thank you.
Hey,
All right. Bye-bye.
Man, Chet, was that some great stuff? Appreciate Glenn doing that.
We could have talked for 2 hours, easily.
We sure could have. He's another legend, and time moves on. And as we've said, we've had Ray and Glenn and Angelo, who has come on with us now a few times. So these guys who we kind of grew up with are moving along.
Yeah, and he and Ray clearly have a great friendship. And he mentioned Bernie Perrant, the fact that he beat his Buffalo Sabres in 1975, and now they're good buddies. Bernie comes to a lot of Glenn's events at the breweries. So yeah, life will take you all sorts of different places. And yeah, Glenn's had a good one, and enjoy his final couple of months on the radio. I try to listen every Saturday, and he's on a lot of Sundays as well, usually with Jody Mack. So yeah, be sure to listen to Glenn on WIP over these next couple of months, because he's going to have some great stories every weekend. You know that.
Yeah, and I think that's the bad thing about only being able to talk for 20 minutes is you couldn't get into those stories. He could tell story. Well, he could write books, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
On all the stories, and but he's great. Going to be missed in Philadelphia for sure.
That was fun.
All right. Hey, let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. As always, the gang has all the bases covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on their YouTube channel. You can also find our show on the Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends. As you see, more and more coming each night and day now, all the way up in the morning, trending in the AM, coming on 8 o'clock with Phil Stiefel. And pretty much going all night, every night. And as the summer moves on, there'll be more of it. And as football season kicks off, there'll be even more coverage. Don't forget, subscribe to the Edge of Philly Sports Weekly newsletter. Sign up for free. You'll receive the EOP Weekly Review in your email every Friday morning. Chet, tell us what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House this week. I know they got things happening.
The Irish Rover, I love that place. You know that. They have Quizzo and prime rib dinners every Wednesday evening. Thursday through Sunday, there are dinner specials. They change them every week, of course. In the coming weeks, then, there's another one of those always popular paint and sip day events. So be on the lookout for that. And then in June, yeah, it happens every year. It is the Irish Rovers' great Father's Day car show. Always a terrific event. I've been to a couple of them. I was there last year, as a matter of fact. That is a good time. A lot of amazing cars. They have over 150 most of the years. So, yeah, if you're into classic cars, be sure to get there for that. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Get more details on their website, irishroverstationhouse.com. And since we just saw Ray Diddy, let's see him again.
Hi, this is Ray Didinger. And it is always fun to talk sports with these two guys, Bill and Chet, on Philly Pressbox Radio.
Wait, Chet, let's talk some more Phillies. They continue to roll on, winning series after series. They are losing, by the way, tonight, 2-1 in the top of the third inning. But they're fighting through some injuries, as was mentioned, but hasn't seemed to hurt them right yet.
Yeah, well, don't jinx them, Bill. They've been winning without Trey Turner, who was hitting .343 and had 10 stolen bases. He's been gone for, I guess, a week and a half, 2 weeks now. He'll be out several more weeks, although it sounds like he's, doing some good work already, stretching and getting things ready to go. Schwarber and Real Muto missed a couple of games recently, but they just keep on winning. The funny thing is, they've plugged in guys like Stubbs and Merrifield, and they haven't really done much, but they keep winning anyway, thanks largely to the fact that the starting pitching has been simply fantastic. I mean, the last starts by Suarez and Nola over the past week were both fantastic. So they're 30-13 as we speak. Not a whole lot to complain about, Bill, and, that's okay.
Well, it's funny because, I mean, they seem like they're dominating, but they're hitting kind of at the right time. it seems like you get into that second, third time through that order, you're going to get yourself in trouble, it seems. But as you mentioned, Merrifield has been pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, he has.
Stubbs has been bad. Castellanos has not been good. You can go down the lineup. There's been Harper's been average. I think Bohm has been the best. Stott has gotten really hot for the last month and played real well, but he started out slow. The bats really aren't going yet, or not consistently going. Bohm's not going to hit 360,
No.
but he's continuing to hit the ball. So they've been carried by the pitching staff so far, and I think they start swinging the bats. It's going to be really fun this summer.
Yeah, I mean, you got to love what Bohm has done for sure, but he's the only guy who's really been performing all year. Stott, as you mentioned, has gotten really hot the last couple of weeks. Harper hit a home run tonight, so that was good to see. I really love the pitching, though, especially Suarez, who is, looking to stay undefeated if he can beat the Mets tonight. As you said, they're down 2-1 right as we speak. The bullpen's been okay. They haven't had to use the bullpen a whole lot in a lot of games, which is great because the Phillies are getting 6 and 7 innings out of their starters a lot of nights, which is, great because that'll keep the bullpen guys rested for later in the season. So it's been really good. They've been fun to watch. Castellanos did show some signs of coming out of it last week. He had a couple of multi-hit games, hit a couple of home runs finally. So that was good. Let's see if we can find the East standings, because you got to like the fact that
I happen to be looking at them. Bills over the Braves by 2.
Braves 2 games back, same amount of losses, but they played 4 less games and have 4 less wins. So, yeah, if you can play anywhere close to 700 ball, you're doing fine. In fact, if the Phillies, Bill, play 500 ball the rest of the season, they'll finish with 89 wins. And I think they're going to, do better than 500 the rest of the season. So I think you're getting at least mid-90s in the win total, maybe 100 or more.
Yeah, well, I always look at this number. We talk about it all year long in every sport, is that points for, points against differential. And right now the Phillies are plus 67, which only the Dodgers are plus 84 in the National League. The Braves are plus 54. 222 runs scored so far, which is third in the league, but just 155 runs given up. That's really good. So some good numbers that show that they're playing good all the way around. And man, I just hope, Chet, and I hate to say this, it's way early. It's only May 15th. I hope Rob Thompson can win this thing.
Well, I know you like to criticize him occasionally, so hopefully he won't screw it up and he'll prove you wrong. I believe you said, quote, the Phillies won't win a World Series with Rob Thompson. I believe you said that, Bill.
Did I say that? I know I said they won't win without Joel Embiid or with Joel Embiid.
Yeah, the Sixers. I know you said that too.
Did I say that about Rob Thompson? Well,
I think you did.
I really hope I'm wrong on this one. Hey, on a different topic, not to jump off that since you're giving me the business on that. I read today about somebody wrote about Bryce Harper being soft because he missed the game. Was it yesterday? For getting a little nick in the helmet or whatever in the world happened. They never came out to say he just got a day off because it was a day game after a night game is really what I was thinking. But they came out and said he had gotten hit in the head and he had a little head injury or something. And geez, I was watching when that happened. I didn't think it was much of a hit in the head.
No, and according to Rob Thompson, it had nothing to do with getting hit in the head by the catcher throwing the ball back. Bryce occasionally gets migraines, so he just happened to get one yesterday, unrelated to the little, nip in the helmet the other day. So, it had nothing to do with that, and he was fine 2 hours into the game. He said it could have pinch hit later in the game. So, yeah, he's not soft. One of my friends, who I'm not going to name, texted me that Bryce Harper is a wuss. Let's use that word, okay?
Would it be anybody that's name would come up on the screen?
That's the guy.
Why did I know that?
Yeah, my goodness. I mean, if you get a bad migraine, from what I'm told, you can't function. It's really, really challenging. And to try to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball with a migraine, it's probably not a wise thing. So, yeah, Denny, I have to teach Denny about sports sometimes. So that's a whole other issue.
Yeah. Well, hey, one final comment on the Phillies. This whole thing about them not playing real good competition. You got to win the games on your schedule. If you win all your series, win the games on your schedule, you'll be just fine. And we would be sitting there we did with the Flyers just the last couple of weeks of the season. Oh, they should win those games. Well, you know what? They didn't, and it cost them a playoff spot. You got to win. Whoever's on the schedule, take care of them. And like I always say, you never have to make an excuse for winning, pal.
Yeah, as the skeptics have pointed out, the Phillies have not played a lot of tough competition so far. Very few winning teams right now have played the Phillies so far this year. But after the Phils host the Nats this weekend, the Rangers then come to town. The Rangers aren't having the kind of season they did last year, but they are the defending World Series champions. Then in June, the Phillies host the Brewers, who lead the NL Central. And they visit Baltimore, and Baltimore is, the best team in the American League right now, leading the AL East. The Phillies don't play the Dodgers until July, so they play them at home in Philly in July, and then go out to California to play the Dodgers in August. So yeah, there are some tough series coming up, but you just got to play who's on the schedule, win as many series as you can, and you'll be fine.
That's right. Just keep on winning. Keep on winning. Hey, Chet, tell us what's going on with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia, Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Well, Cav and his Philly Tailgates crew, they happen to be cooking up a terrific catering business. They've been doing so for more than 30 years. They are known for their tailgate parties. Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties, you name it. This month and next, Cav is crazy busy catering graduation parties, not surprisingly. We're talking May and June. That's what happens. Check the website, phillytailgates.com, for more info. And if you have any questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And this, Cav works with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. They're the guys who do all the Eagles road games, and we know now where the Eagles will be playing and when this fall. But there are numerous Phillies trips this spring and summer: Boston, Baltimore, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and yes, as we've mentioned, London in early June when the Phillies and Mets play a couple of games there. And they'll get you to Brazil for that Eagles season opener, too, in early September. There's that October trip to Los Angeles to see Penn State battle USC in their first ever meeting as Big Ten opponents. And they're already working on next spring's Phillies spring training trips down to Clearwater. Get all the details on everything related to those trips on phillysportstrips.com.
Well, and that leads us right into our next subject, Chet. We know the Eagles are opening them against the Packers in Brazil. We also know they're a very marketable team nationally. Tonight at 8 o'clock, the schedule comes out, but the schedule's out. It's been leaked, and you happen to have a copy of that?
Yeah, by all accounts, various sources, this is the way it looks. We know about the Packers, and then we've heard in the recent days about the Falcons coming to town for a Monday night game in week 2, and then a couple of road games, and then an early season bye, week 5. That's one of the things I'm not crazy about, having the bye that early in the season. But a lot of road games in the middle, but then you finish with 4 out of 5 home games, Bill, which isn't a bad thing. Anything that concerns you or you love or hate about this schedule?
Well, what I don't really love is between week 10 and week 18, they play 5 of their 6 NFC East rivals. They only won them in 9 weeks, but 5 of them in the last 8 weeks. That doesn't thrill me. I don't like either one of these Commanders games. Even though the first one in week 11 is at home, it's coming off a road trip to Dallas on Sunday, having to come right back on a Thursday. I don't like that. I think the Commanders are going to be better. And the other thing I don't like is the Commanders away, stuck in between those 4 home games. That looks like a trap game there against. Again, I think the Commanders are going to be a much better team this year.
Yeah, I agree, and I see what you're saying. A Thursday night game is tough for anybody. and especially coming after having just played the Cowboys, and then you're playing the Commanders later in the year ahead of the Cowboys. So, you worry about the whole look ahead thing. But I do like the fact that you're playing all of your division opponents so often late in the season, because that's when the divisions are going to be decided. So, you want those games to mean something, or ideally to have the division wrapped up in, week 16 or whatever, because I think the Eagles are the team to beat this year, Bill. Because I don't think Dallas has done anything of particular note over the offseason. So I think the Eagles are for sure the team to beat in the East.
Yeah, and I think Washington's going to be good. I think they're going to be a lot better. And the other thing, put that back up for just a second if you can. The other thing that I'm not really thrilled about, especially if I'm a season ticket holder, week 1 obviously is a home game that's away. But then you got a Monday night, you have a Sunday night, you have a Thursday night, and there's another one somewhere, right? They're all home games. So if I'm a season ticket holder, that you got to keep late hours if you're going to go to games that start at 8:20, 8:15, 8:20. I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah, I mean, as it's written right now, they only have 2 1:00 home games. The one in week 6 against the Browns, and then week what is it? 7. Oh, that's at the Giants.
14.
Panthers, week
Panthers.
14. Panthers, yeah. So just 2 1:00 home games as it stands right now. So that's kind of interesting. We don't know about week 18. That Giants game could be whenever, depending on how the standings look and whether the game might be moved to 4 o'clock or whatever. So we'll see.
And even those 4:25 games, the Cowboys and the Steelers and those, you start those games at 4:25. They end at, say, 7:30, 7:45. You get out of the parking lot, you get home. It's 10, 11 o'clock at night, even with the 4:25 start.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting, and by the way, this is still unofficial. So, unless something changes, this is the schedule, but it's not officially the Eagles schedule until 8 p.m. Wednesday, and we're speaking at 7:43 right now. So,
but we know we feel pretty sure.
We feel pretty confident.
Kind of official. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Great guest tonight. Go ahead.
We mentioned about the Netflix thing, Bill. I know you're not a fan. Most people are not a fan, but you can't spell Netflix without NFL.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
That's actually a Netflix ad today that they were putting out. You can't spell Netflix without NFL. So.
Well, you know what I found interesting, and I sent this to you guys, the EOP guys.
Oh yeah.
Where Dallas has a deal with Netflix, and they're producing some Jerry Jones 10-episode documentary on how he made the Cowboys what they are. Well, they aren't. I don't get it. And I guess they're also doing a documentary on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Jerry Jones.
That I might watch. I might watch the cheerleaders one.
That Jerry and Netflix are in bed together somewhere here. That they just happen to be now putting games on Christmas, and they're also doing documentaries about the Cowboys. That's not a coincidence, my friend.
Yeah. Speaking of TV, though, we know now that it is official. Jason Kelce is a new ESPN NFL analyst. Apparently, the former Redskins quarterback is gone.
Robert Griffin.
Griffin, yeah, couldn't think of his name. RG3. Yep. So Kelce will be doing the Monday Night Countdown, postseason NFL Countdown, and Super Bowl coverage when ESPN and ABC have it in 2027. So Jason will be a busy man, and I'm sure we'll still see him in and around Philadelphia quite a bit as well.
Yeah, well, and I mean,
he'll do well.
It's good for Jason. He will do well. I actually kind of envisioned him being more into the Philadelphia sports scene than the national sports scene.
Yeah.
But, I guess you got to dip your toes in first and, see where that takes you, see if you even like it. And I'm sure he's going to be taken care of handsomely for doing it.
Yeah. Plus, I think he's making some money on the podcast he does with Travis. So we don't have to worry about
you. Kind of like me and you.
Very similar, very similar. Two guys talking about whatever and getting paid handsomely for it. Okay, that part maybe not.
Yeah, right. So we tell a story here and there. All right. Hey, great guest tonight in Glen Macnow. Who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Bill, because, well, first of all, I heard a rumor that you're going to be traveling next week and will miss the show. You will not be here.
That's a fact. I will be on the road to the far west. But I will tell you this, Chet. When I see you again 2 weeks from now, I will have gone to the Indianapolis 500 for the first time.
Get out.
So, yeah, that's part of my road trip. So I'll give you a little update on what it's like to see cars run at 100 or 250 miles an hour.
Yeah, okay, well, that'll be fun. Well, I'm going to be here next week, and I'm going to welcome a couple of great guests. One of them is this guy. It's Keith Pompey. We're going to talk basketball. He's the 76ers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'll talk with Keith about the Sixers off-season strategy and more. And then, Bill, this is something different. We actually had this guy scheduled to be on one other time, and it didn't happen. It's the guy we just pictured a little while ago. It is one of our great sponsors, Bob Cavanaugh, the guy behind the grill. He's going to join me to talk about not only his business, but about, being a Philly sports fan for all these years and what it's like to, cater to a whole bunch of crazy Philadelphia Eagle and Phillies fans.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I wish I could be. Actually, I wish I could be here for both. Me and Keith have some things to talk about with that Joel Embiid. I'll leave a list of questions for him. That's for sure. And it would be great to see Cav as well. So,
and we know that Keith is a New York Football Giants fan, so we got to get his take on Saquon Barkley joining.
And I always love jabbing him about that. You know that.
I know you do, man.
All right. Hey, Chet, hard to believe this Sunday marks the 50th anniversary of the Flyers' first Stanley Cup champion. The team to this day are the darlings of the city. Fred Shero's quote, "Win today and walk together forever," certainly is true with this group 50 years later.
Yeah, well, first of all, 50 years, man, and we remember it quite well, which can only mean one thing. We are pretty old. Speaking of that Freddie Shero quote, we had Joe Watson on the show back in 2021, and he had this to say about the 74 Cup, Bobby Clark, and yes, Fred Shero, and that quote.
We had one of the greatest leaders in all of sports at the time was Bob Clark. Being a diabetic and everything else and seeing all the things he had to go through. It's amazing, how he survived and how long he played and how hard he played.
Well, he was a great leader, and your coach was rather an intriguing guy, Freddie the Fog Shero. 8 years with the Flyers. He was there till 78, as you were. Give me a Fred Shero story.
Well, of course, his favorite saying, "Win today, walk together forever," will go down and go down in the history of the annals of sports for forever. And it was his saying that came up with that, and it's true. I mean, we're still together today. We have about 14 or 15 guys that played in the Stanley Cup team still live in Philadelphia. So that says a lot about the area and the players themselves.
Don't you love Joe Watson?
Yeah, you do. And, as I was thinking about this, get ready for the show, I was thinking about the Gary Dornhoffers and those guys, Joe Watsons, the Ed Van Imps that came in from the expansion teams and, started out here and they're still here. And, I think about our pal Carl Henderson. I talk to him a lot about this because he's always bringing these Broad Street bullies back to his store. And every time he brings them back, they line up around the building to get autographs of these guys 50 years later. The love for this team has never wavered.
And we've had Bob Hound Kelly on many times. And even though he couldn't play in the 74 finals due to a knee injury, he, of course, has fond memories of that first cup and the parade that followed.
It was good. I mean, it just, it was an outstanding win. Like you said, it was a big boost for Philadelphia people, fans, and that. The city came together. I mean, it was awesome. 2 million people. It was awesome. And we were the first expansion team to win the cup. So pretty significant fact there. And, having a guy like Freddie Sherrill and Ed Snyder and Keith Allen, everybody enjoying it. I mean, they put the team together. It was awesome.
Bill, I don't know about you, but that 73-74 season, I was all in. I watched or listened to every game. I actually kept little, scoring notes and wrote it down. I don't know why. I did a scrapbook when they won the series. I still have it in my garage somewhere. I'm going to have to pull that out and look at it again. It was just so much fun. I remember the final, the series against the Rangers was crazy. And then they won the Bruins series on a Sunday afternoon. And, we all remember watching it, and then Gene Hart's call, of course. Shall we go to the Gene Hart call?
I thought that's where you were going, no?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I thought you might say something first. That's why I waited. But here it is. This is how it ended late Sunday afternoon, May 19th, 1974.
15 seconds left in the game. 10 seconds. Morris shoots it down the ice. Ross makes the save. Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup. The Flyers win the Stanley Cup. The Flyers win the Stanley Cup. The Flyers have won the Stanley Cup.
Still gives me chills to this day. I remember exactly where I was watching it, and the city at that time. We talk about this a lot too. These young guys, and we hang around with a lot of young guys because there are not many old guys like us around anymore. But they don't know what it was like when these Philadelphia teams stunk. The Eagles stunk every year. The Phillies stunk every year when we were kids. Yeah. And the Flyers came in and were pretty good right from the start. And then they got better, and then they won the cup, and then winning became a thing. And we really liked that. And then all of a sudden the Phillies started, Steve Carlton arrived, Dick Vermeil arrived, and all of a sudden things have changed. And but it was these guys, and it was Bobby Clark and Bernie Parent and Fred Sherrill pretty much were the leaders of that bunch that changed the whole sports culture in this city.
Yeah, I mean, it was dismal in the early 70s, as you said. And then by, 74, 75, 76, the future was looking a whole lot brighter. The Flyers got those 2 cups, played for a third, came up short against Montreal, although Reggie Leach got the Conn Smythe Award for scoring, 19 goals in the postseason, which was
if Bernie didn't get hurt in that season, they probably win that one too.
Yeah. And the Phillies were making the playoffs 3 years in a row, eventually winning a series in 1980. The Sixers didn't quite get there in the late 70s. They said, we owe you one. We owe you 2. But we had to wait till 83 for the Sixers to finally win one. And Dick Vermeil turned the Eagles around and turned them into a playoff contender and got to the Super Bowl in the 1980 season. So, what a decade the 70s was for the Philadelphia sports scene.
Yeah, and the other thing too, people think about the parades that have taken place over the last few years, the Super Bowl parade and the 2008 parade and all that. Those Flyers parades were epic.
You didn't? Did you go to either of them?
Yeah,
I did not.
Yeah, went to the second one. Didn't go to the first one. But they, nobody had ever done anything like that to the magnitude of millions of people flooding the streets. Now it's everybody wants to try to top it. I think the only one that tops those parades are Philly fans topping other parades because other towns can't do what happened here in Philadelphia with that.
Well, I mean, it's great that so many Flyers players, alumni from those 1974 and 75 Cup winning teams are still around and still around the area as well. So they were clearly a tight bunch, and we've been fortunate to have several of them on our show over the years. And, hopefully we'll see them again before too long.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is the Flyers have been great about hiring their own people.
Yep.
You will fly this game at the Wells Fargo Center, and you could be walking the corridors and see any number of these guys that are either just walking around or they're at a table, they're greeting people, whatever. They've always got something going on. It's really cool.
So 50 years this Sunday is when the Flyers won that first cup. So, take a moment and toast those Flyers this weekend, folks.
That's right. That's right. Hey, speaking of toast, Chet, just a reminder that Saturday, June the 1st is Delco Day. This year it's being held at J.T. Brewski's, 510 South Oak Avenue, Clifton Heights, from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. I won't be there that long. You can be sure of that. This year's benefactor will again be the Headstrong Foundation, which provides temporary and long-term housing to cancer patients and their families free of cost. The cover charge is just $6.10. Stop by for food, drink, plenty of live music, plenty of good friends. The EOP crew will all be there as well. And I think you're going to try to make it as well, aren't you, Mr. Chesko?
I will definitely be there at some point during the day. We'll figure out a time. We'll meet up because we don't get to see each other in person that often. So yeah, I'll definitely be there for a little while.
As long as my plane gets there like it's supposed to, I'm not coming up for this. This is bonus. Right. To be able to be part of this. This is all falling on the right day. So I plan on spending a little bit of time there and seeing some hopefully see some old friends and, have a meal or two.
It's a bonus for us, Bill, having you in Delco.
Wow. How about that? And actually, where this is being held is not but about a mile or 2 miles from where I grew up, right from the homeland. So looking forward to that.
Hey, last thing I want to throw in here. As you know, Aaron Nola threw 5 perfect innings in the Tuesday afternoon game. And I have a question. What is your thought about announcers referencing the no-hitter and or perfect game during a broadcast? I personally don't have a problem with it. Some people say, oh, you're not supposed to mention that. What's your take on that?
No, I mean, I'm not a jinx guy. I don't believe in jinxes. It has nothing to do with it. So talking about it, when there is something going on like that, me and my boys, we have a little group text about games or whatever. Hey, 5th inning, no alert going on,
Yeah.
No hit through 5 or whatever. And we'll go back and forth the whole time. And I have no problem with it,
Now, on the other hand, if I'm in the dugout as a player, I'm not saying a word, to the pitcher about it, because then I would feel kind of weird about it because, if he does give up a hit or whatever, then I feel like maybe I am the bad guy who jinxed him. But as far as the broadcasters, no, they can reference it.
Well, when I coached and when I played, I was a catcher when I played. When I coach, I just tell the kids, no matter what, go have fun.
Yeah.
Go have fun. No matter the situation, if it was 1-0, 10-0, no hitter, whatever, go have fun. That's what it's all about. It's not, don't get caught up in the pressure. Just go out and do what you're doing and enjoy yourself.
Sounds like a plan. I'm going to go out and enjoy myself right now, Bill. So wrap it up.
All right, let's do that. Thank tonight's special guest, Glen Macnow. Man, he was great. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC, 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Pressbox Radio next Wednesday, May the 22nd at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook on our Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.
High hopes, we had high hopes, we had high apple pie in the sky. And now, folks, that's it. Good night to all of you. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you